All right, today we are diving deep into one of the most prestigious and honestly one of the most interesting paths to U.S. permanent residency, the EB-1A green card. This one's for the extraordinary individuals out there.
So, have you ever wondered if your unique talent, your achievements, everything you've worked for, could that be your direct ticket to a U.S. green card without needing a company to sponsor you or a specific job offer? Well, if that question is on your mind, you are in exactly the right place.
So, what is the EB-1A? It's a green card for people who are at the very top of their game in fields like science, art, business, or sports. But here's the absolute game changer. You can self-petition. That means you don't need a U.S. employer, you don't need a job offer, you are your own sponsor. And that freedom, that independence, is exactly what makes the EB-1A so incredibly powerful.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down today. First, we'll cover the basics of the Extraordinary Ability Green Card. Then, we'll get into the real heart of it, how you actually prove you're at the top. After that, we'll walk through the application roadmap, step by step. We'll also tackle that common question about moving from an O1 visa, and we'll wrap up with the key numbers and some final, crucial tips.
First things first, when immigration officials use the term extraordinary ability, what do they actually mean? Let's get into the core requirements.
So when it comes down to it, USCIS, that's the immigration agency, is really looking for three main things. One, you've got to show sustained national or international acclaim. The key word there is sustained. This isn't about a one-time thing. It's about proving you're in that small percentage at the very top of your field. Two, you have to show you're going to keep working in that same field here in the U.S. And three, you need to prove that your work will be a major benefit to the country.
And now for the million-dollar question. How do you prove you're at the top, right? This isn't just about feeling extraordinary. It's about meeting a very specific and, frankly, a very high legal standard.
So, there are basically two ways you can qualify. The first one, well, it's the express lane, but almost no one takes it. If you've won something like a Nobel Prize, an Oscar, a Pulitzer, or you've got an Olympic medal, your case is pretty much a slam dunk. Now, for everyone else, there's a second path, and this is where things get really interesting.
And that brings us to the famous two-part test. You might hear lawyers call it the Kazarian standard. This is the exact framework that USCIS uses to look at every single EB-1A case. And honestly, understanding this is the absolute key to success.
Let me break it down. Step 1 is about getting your foot in the door. You have to provide evidence that meets at least 3 out of 10 specific criteria. But, and this is what trips so many people up, just passing Step 1 does not mean you're approved. Step 2 is what's called a final merits determination. This is where the officer looks at everything you submitted, all of it together, and asks one big question. Does all of this evidence, as a whole, really prove this person is one of the few at the very top of their field? It's not about just checking boxes, it's about the powerful story your evidence tells.
Okay, so let's run through these criteria. Here are the first 5. We're talking about nationally or internationally recognized awards. Maybe not a Nobel, but still significant. Or memberships in really exclusive associations that demand outstanding achievements. You could show that you've been written about in major media, that you've been asked to judge the work of others, or that you've made original contributions that have had a major impact.
And here are the other 5. This covers things like writing scholarly articles, having your art displayed in major exhibitions, playing a leading or really critical role for a well-known organization, earning a very high salary compared to your peers, or having big commercial successes if you're in the performing arts. As you look at these, you can start to see how you could build a case by combining 3 or more. And I really want to hammer this point home. Just because you meet 3 criteria, that's not a guarantee. The overall strength of your evidence has to paint a clear picture. If your evidence is kind of weak, like a minor award or a membership in a group anyone can join, the case can still be denied. It is all about the quality and the total weight of your proof. Okay, so we've got the theory. Now let's switch gears and get practical. What does the actual application process look like? This is your roadmap from start to finish. So the journey really begins long before you file anything. You'll spend months, maybe even over a year, just building your case. This means gathering strong recommendation letters from experts, collecting publications, awards, everything. Then you file the big one, the I-140 petition. After that, you wait for a decision. And as you can see, that wait can be very short or very long. Once that's approved, you move to the final green card stage. Now, this slide is super important for planning. With standard processing, you could be waiting almost 2 years just for a decision. Or, for an extra fee, you can choose premium processing and get an answer in just 15 calendar days. Now, this isn't just about being impatient, it's about predictability. It's about being able to plan your life. And that peace of mind is why it's almost always the recommended route if you can swing it.
So you get your I-140 approval. Fantastic. But hold on, there's one more thing to watch out for, the visa bulletin. You can think of it like a waiting list. Your I-140 approval gets you on the list, but you might have to wait for your number to be called. For people from most countries, there's no wait at all. But because of super high demand, applicants from India and China often face a really long backlog. So you have to check the latest bulletin to understand your final timeline.
Okay, let's talk about something really common. A lot of people move from the O-1 temporary work visa to the EB-1A permanent green card. It feels like a natural next step, right? But here's the thing that most people don't realize. It is definitely not an automatic jump.
A lot of people think, hey, I got an O-1 visa, so the EB-1A should be easy. And while the O-1 is a great foundation, the legal standard for the EB-1A is just, it's on another level. Here's a good way to think about it. The O-1 is like a great snapshot of your career at one moment. The EB-1A needs to be the feature-length film, showing you've had sustained acclaim, that you didn't just reach the top, but you've stayed there and made a lasting impact.
All right, let's bring it home with the practical stuff. What's this all going to cost, and what are the absolute key strategies to put you in the best position for success?
Let's be real. This is a serious investment. You've got government fees that can add up to thousands, especially if you use premium processing or have family members applying with you. And then the legal fees for a really strong, well-documented case can be anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000, maybe even more. But of course, for many, the investment is absolutely worth it for the freedom that permanent residency offers. So if I could leave you with a few final takeaways, it would be these. First, get powerful letters from independent experts, people who don't know you personally but know your work and reputation. Second, don't just copy and paste your O-1 petition. Build on it to show what you've done since then. Third, like we said, premium processing is a total game changer. And finally, immigration rules are always shifting. If your case is strong right now, it's usually better to file sooner rather than wait.
And that really brings us to the final thought. The EB-1A journey is demanding, no doubt about it. It requires you to prove, on paper, that you are truly one of the best at what you do. But for those who can, it offers a level of opportunity unlike anything else. You've already done the extraordinary work to get this far. So the real question is the EB-1A your next step? Thanks for watching.